In the heart of a serene suburban neighborhood where the vestiges of nature blend seamlessly with soft pastel-colored homes, we find John. This middle-aged man is an integral part of this picture-perfect tapestry, living a seemingly content life under the roof of his adopted parents. Smiles adorn his face as he tends to his daily routines, waking up to the sweet chirping of birds, cycling his way to work with the cool breeze subtly tousling his hair, and returning to the warm embrace of a family dinner under the soft glow of twilight. Yet beneath this layer of contentment, there are inklings of inscrutable riddles tied with his existence, mysterious gaps in his early childhood memories, and intriguing discrepancies in the family tales that hint at a veiled past. John is your quintessential bright-eyed, friendly neighbor. His jovial laughter and easygoing nature have a magnetic charm, drawing both old and young into his circle. However, his daily life paints only half of his picture. When he reaches home, the atmosphere subtly shifts. His adopted parents, expressive and loving on the exterior, would cleverly meander around certain topics during conversations, especially those concerning John's early years. Their eyes would flicker with a certain hesitation, their smiles slightly faltered, and hastily the topic would shift. These minor anomalies were not lost on John, and as the days flowed into weeks and weeks into months, these inconsistencies became more and more apparent. This triggered a strong sense of curiosity, an intense urge in John to unravel the mysteries of his encrypted past, a puzzle that he became determined to solve. One lazy afternoon, driven by a sudden whim, John ventured into the house's attic. As he rummaged through the dusty relics of forgotten times, his eyes fell upon an old, corner-tucked envelope. It was a worn-out letter addressed to his adopted parents. Intrigue prickled at his senses, an unopened chapter of his life literally resting at his fingertips. With a scarcely audible gasp, John delicately pulled out the aged paper. The letter was a fragile piece of his past, carrying vague details about his biological parents, names that sounded like echoes from a different era altogether. It sketched reasons for giving him up, a choice compelled by circumstances, not their hearts. The lullaby of their longing and regret resonated through those faded, inked words. Stunned and overwhelmed, an emotional tempest raged through John. The fragments of his past began to make sense now. The inconsistencies, the hesitant pauses in his parents' conversation, the inexplicable emptiness he felt. They were all tied to this single piece of history he held. A kaleidoscope of feelings swept over him, jubilation for shaking hands with his past, anguish for the untold tribulations of his biological parents, and an indomitable resolve. Resolve to trace his roots, to stitch together the pieces of his fragmented history, and to find answers to the questions that cloaked his true identity. Through the teetering piles of old photo albums, forgotten memorabilia, and dusty books in the attic, John embarked on a solo expedition. He was determined to chart a course to his hidden past, navigated by the compass of his newfound evidence. He had one piece of the puzzle, the letter, and he was certain there were more, spread across this attic, hidden in the everyday subtleties of his life, the key to unlocking his true identity. Intrigued by the unveiled letter and determined to dig deeper, John found his days consumed with relentless pursuit. From the comforts of suburban familiarity, he found himself navigating the labyrinth of local adoption agencies. His persistence and unwavering determination led him to uncover the very cradle of his early days, the adoption facility that had placed him among his adoptive parents. This brick-and-mortar institution, seemingly nondescript to the passerby, held a profound significance to John. As he stepped through the threshold of that facility, it was as if he was crossing an invisible line, compelling him closer to the essence of his own legacy. There, he found elderly caretakers and foster parents, their wrinkled faces mapping the years of untold stories and fond memories. With each encounter, John gleaned anecdotes about his infancy, precious details of his first laugh, his first word, a narrative spun by these very people who held him when he first arrived in this world. Every story narrated, every recollection shared was a thread woven into an intricate tapestry of his life. Each sentence felt like a gentle hand guiding him back to his beginnings, a lighthouse in the fading light of his past. The journey was evocative and bittersweet, each step taking him closer to his origins, his truth. While our John embarks on this unprecedented expedition, stand by his side, dear listeners. Join him as he uncovers more clues, meets more people of his past, and tilts the lens to focus on his story, which until now had remained blurred. Keep listening. As John's story unfolds, so will the intrigue. One thing's for sure, you will not want to miss the revelations that lie ahead. A whirlpool of emotions, John remained relentless in his hunt, his thirst for the truth unquenched. His quest led him to track down a close aide of his biological parents, a lady aged by time yet sharp as a pin. Meeting her was like opening a box of forgotten memories, ones that were not his, and yet felt incredibly personal. Over cups of hot tea, the lady narrated his parents' love story, two souls bound by an indomitable love and separated by a tragic twist of fate. Their love story, filled with passion, challenges, and anguish, was punctuated with the heartbreaking reason they couldn't keep him. They were characters in his story, intrinsically tied to his existence. Their choices, stirred by the tumult of their lives, had led to his adoption. As the final piece of shocking information, she revealed that John wasn't an only child. He gasped in disbelief as she gently explained that he had a twin sister, a mirror image of himself, separated during the early stages of adoption. The realization hit him like a thunderbolt. His world suddenly felt bigger, his identity inextricably tied to another human who shared his blood and his story. In the wake of uncovering these profound secrets, John found himself entangled in a storm of conflicting emotions. Feelings of abandonment came flooding in, a tidal wave threatening to capsize his steady ship of contentment. Anger flared within him, like an ignited fuse, questioning the fairness of his circumstances. His heart welled with sadness. A gut-wrenching grief swept over him, mournful for lives sharply separated by fate, for a sister he never got to share his childhood with. Yet amidst this tempest, a spark of curiosity flickered, bright and resilient. There was more of his story yet to discover, and he yearned to explore the unknown. Accompanying his emotional maelstrom was a daunting decision he wrestled with, the decision to confront his adoptive parents, the ones who had supported and cared for him, all the while harboring this hidden truth. His mind was a battlefield, fondness and gratitude for his adoptive family on one side, and on the other, his inherent need for truth. Surrounded by the familiar warmth of the family living room, a mixture of courage and dread pumping through his veins, John summoned his adopted parents for a conversation. The same room that had witnessed laughter, family dinners, and shared secrets now bore the weight of an impending revelation. As the words tumbled out, John laid bare his journey of self-discovery, the secrets he had unearthed, and the concealed truth he had been oblivious to all these years. As silence engulfed the room, you could almost hear the soft crackle of truth in the air. With watery eyes and a tremble in their voice, John's adopted parents chose honesty. They confessed to keeping the truth veiled, their intentions rooted in love and fear. Their prime reason was to shield John from the sting of a painful past, to cocoon him in an environment where he felt truly loved, cherished, and irreplaceable. Admitting how they grappled with the decision to unveil the truth, their resolution to protect John had won. They recognized their mistake, apologizing for depriving John of his right to know his past. The scene was poignant and heartrending, a family caught in the crossfire between love, truth, and difficult choices. Embracing the unexpected turns life had presented and encouraged by his adopted parents' support, John decided to pursue the final piece of his identity puzzle, his twin sister. His journey was no longer a solitary one. His adopted parents, his constant pillars of support, were beside him, reinforcing his determination with their unwavering belief. His diligent pursuit bore fruit one fine day when he found her. Meeting his twin sister was like looking into a mirror that reflected a part of him he never knew existed. She, too, had been oblivious of her brother, living in vertical adjacency, with the missing chapter of her own story. Their reunion was a whirlpool of emotions. It was as if they had known each other in a previous life and were now reconnecting. Their past was different. Their memories didn't align, and yet there existed an undeniable bond, a connection that time or distance couldn't fray. This connection, this reunion filled a void they didn't realize existed until then. Their bond became stronger with time, filling their lives with a sense of completeness, healing their shared wounds of abandonment. The puzzle was finally complete. John had found the final piece, and it fitted perfectly. As John reflected on his journey, he found a deeper appreciation for the sacrifices his biological and adoptive parents had made. Each decision, woven from love and concern, each sacrifice, steeped in selflessness, were for him. Their intentions had painted the canvas of his life with hues of protection, care, and invaluable lessons. His unique journey had endowed John with a profound wisdom. Family spreads beyond bloodlines. It was a symbiosis of love, sacrifice, and understanding. His biological parents, who gave him life, his adopted parents, who nurtured that life, and his twin sister, a part of his shared bloodline, were the threads that, when woven together, created the rich fabric of his kinship. In gratitude and celebration of this new understanding, John decided to honor both parts of his life in a special way. He planned a grand family gathering, a symbol of unity and boundless love that blended both his families. The gathering was a beautiful medley of shared stories, hearty laughter, and emotional moments. There was an air of enchantment as both his families came together, binding the stitches of the past and the present, the biological and the adoptive, into a warm, heavy quilt of immense love. As the dust settles on John's astonishing journey, we tune into his life a few years later, capturing their harmonious coexistence. John and his twin sister share a bond that's an ethereal blend of friendship and sibling love, thicker than the strongest cord and softer than the most delicate silken thread. They've successfully made up for the lost time, cherishing every moment spent together, drawing on strength from their shared origins and concurrent experiences. They form a vibrant part of the integrated family portrait, forever cherishing the unique circumstances that pulled them apart and the miraculous journey that brought them together. The two families, though having started as separate entities, have now seamlessly woven into one beautiful mosaic of love, warmth, and support. John's life, once an open-ended question, is now a testament to a powerful fact. The truth may be momentarily painful, but in the long run, it holds the capacity to heal, unite, and redefine bonds. It epitomizes that family isn't just a bond of blood or law, but a beautiful montage of love, acceptance, and boundless understanding.